Today we're going to learn the most realistic way to add a text, logo or a graphic on any surface in Photoshop. All we need are two blend modes, a little bit of movement and a tiny bit of texture, and that's it. Also at the end of the tutorial we will learn how to add some additional effects to make the scene much more natural and realistic. So without any further ado, let's get started. Before we head over to the video, do check out Toolbox. It's a real game changer. Toolbox is a smart controller which makes working in Photoshop, Lightroom or any other creative software so much more simpler, easier and faster. Take complete control of the brush with just one knob to change size, opacity, hardness or flow, or go back and forth steps with just one wheel. Toolbox works simultaneously with a mouse or a tablet. It is available for both left-handed and right-handed users, which is great. I'm so glad they did it. Also, this dual-wheeled approach brings one more additional benefit, and that is size. Being extremely portable, you can customize Toolbox for Photoshop, Lightroom and Paint Tool SAI with their well-made presets. Besides, you can also adapt any knob, dial, button or even a combination of them as shortcuts to suit any software you want, such as Premiere Pro, Capture One or Final Cut Pro. With its comfortable ergonomic design and ease of use, Toolbox definitely takes away the complexity out of creativity. Check out Toolbox using the link in the description. So here we are in the magical world of Photoshop, and the first thing we need to do is to have the surface open. For this example, I'm using a fabric. I'm going to make it available for you to download. Check the links in the description. The second thing we do is to add the logo, text or graphic. For this example, I'm going to add some text. Let's select the text tool right over there. And then let's type in something. Let's type in your text. Okay, so this is your, and just select the move tool, Control or Command T. Let's make it a little bigger, just like so. This is fine. Something like that. Let's make it as big as we can. Now this is okay. Hit enter or return. I'm going to change the color to yellow. Double click on it. Double click on the T to select it all. And then single click over here at the top. And then choose the color. I'm going to choose yellow. So let's go ahead and choose a bright yellow. This seems to be fine to me. I'm going to make it a little more reddish. Ochre. Okay, this is fine. Now I'm going to just copy it, hold the Alt or Option, click and drag, make a copy and just release it. And I'm going to type in, double click on the T to select it all again, and T-E-X-T. All right, this is just an example for you guys. I'm going to bring it a little bit to the side, make it a little bigger to fit it all. This is fine. Now both of them are too big, hit enter. Now let's select both of the layers. With the text layer selected, hold the Control or Command, select the other one, both of them will be selected. Then press Control or Command T and hold the Shift key, make it smaller, maintain the proportions. Let's keep it right there. And to make it larger or smaller from the center, we can hold the Shift and the Alt together. Shift and Option on a Mac. Make it larger and smaller. Let's make it this larger. We'll see it later. Now, once you have added whatever you wanted to add, make sure it's a smart object. Right now it's not, it's a text layer, right? So with both of them selected, right click on it and choose Convert to Smart Object. Now this is converted into a smart object. Another way to do it is by going to Filter and then Convert for Smart Filters. It's grayed out because we already converted it into a smart object. The next step would be to mold the graphic according to the folds of the fabric. Alright, and to do that, we're going to use Liquify. Now keep in mind, if we zoom in, the fabric has some texture. We will attend that later. Now it's time for the big folds, alright, and we want to have it accurate. Now, I know some of you are aware of using displacement maps and all of that stuff, but the problem with that is it's not always accurate. I'm going to show you how to do it manually. That's very, very accurate. We're going to use that later, but first of all, we're going to do it manually by using Liquify. So let's go to Filter. And then choose Liquify. Dialog box will show up, and all you gotta do, you gotta make sure that Show Backdrop is checked. Right now the fabric is in the background layer, so you need to choose Use Background Layer. Mode, you can keep it behind. Okay, so the background is behind the text or the graphic, right? Okay, I can choose the opacity. 50 was fine. I'm just gonna show you, if you keep the opacity at 100, it's going to show the text with the opacity 100. If you keep it 0, you get the idea. I'm going to keep it at 50 because I want to see what's happening in the background through these. All right. Now let's go ahead and zoom in. Control or Command plus to zoom. Let's start molding this. Let's start with R. Let's zoom out a little bit. Now Liquify is something we do slowly, nudgingly. Don't do it all at once. Do it slowly. Let's make the brush a little bigger. According to the folds, you can also decrease the opacity even more to see what's going on beneath those things. And let's start folding it, just like so, according to the folds of the fabric. Slowly and gradually. Look, I'm not doing it all at once, just like so, because the other areas might be harmed, and also at the same time, it won't be accurate. So let's go back. Let's do it slowly. Just nudge. Always zoom out to check time to time whether you're overdoing it or not. So let's go ahead and zoom out. So R looks pretty fine. Great. Okay, let's adjust it. See, in this area, we don't know what's going on, so you can decrease the opacity furthermore, like so. This is all right. Now let's do the U. Slowly and gradually, we'll do all of them. Now, since there is a fold, it will go a little inside, okay? So the height will be a little reduced. Sometimes when things look too bent, you can use this tool called the smooth tool. So you can select that, and once you paint on it, see, things become straight again. This is something which you can use. So this is something which you can use when you think you have crumpled it so much. So for example, you were just doing it with a small brush and you've done something like that. You want to make it straight again. You can choose the smooth tool, shortcut E, and then just paint over it. It will be fine. Okay. Let's select the forward warp tool back again. We were using that to make the bumps. Let's zoom out and have a look. U is looking pretty amazing. Let's move on to O. Control or Command plus to zoom in. Now while you're doing the Y and you don't want to affect the O or any other letter nearby, you can use the freeze mask tool. The shortcut is F. So select that and simply paint on the O. It just won't touch the O. And you can also paint on the T down at the bottom. So it just won't touch those areas. Select the forward warp tool back again, and then once you do that, no matter how much you just brush over it, it just won't affect that. See how I'm bending the Y over there? Just want you to have a close look. See? According to the folds of the fabric. Now as you can see, there's a little bit of irregularity there, as you can see. So we can use the smooth tool back again to kind of paint over that area, and it's fine. Now it's time for us to do the T. You can erase with the thaw mask tool. Whatever you did with the freeze mask tool, whatever area you froze, you can choose the thaw mask tool and just paint on that area to erase the red. Okay, you can erase it all. You can use the freeze mask tool to just paint on the E because we don't want to affect that, and Y as well. Now I can take the forward warp tool and just work on it. Alright, so I guess we are done. Now once we are done, all we have to do is just click on OK. Don't worry about what you did. You can change everything later. And that's why it's a smart object. So hit OK. So if you think you've gone too far, you can just double click on Liquify. Liquify will pop up. And you can just click on Reconstruct. Okay, but before that, just make sure that Use Background is selected and Behind is there. Right, just click on Reconstruct. And then it's like the undo on a slider. So if you take it all the way to the left, it will become as it was before. And if you gradually increase it, see, it's folding accordingly. There you go. It's folded. Hit OK. Hit OK again. We were fine with it. All right, it's done. Now, all I want you to do is to change the blend mode of this one to multiply. So change the blend mode to multiply. It should be at the top. There we go, multiply. It takes care of the darks. Since this is yellow, you don't see much of it, but later I'll show you if I change that color to green, you would need multiply. All right, now double click on the right hand side. We need to take it away from the bright areas. So if we take the slider of the underlying layer from the right to the left, have a look. It just goes away from the bright areas. So hold the Alt or Option, click on the slider to break it apart, and then just break it apart to maintain a smoother transition. Hit OK. This is fine. Now make one more copy of it. Press Ctrl or Command J, and this time change the blend mode to screen, the opposite of multiply. So click on it and change it to screen. There you go. All right. Now once we have done that, double click on the right hand side of the layer and do the opposite. So set it to as it was, and screen brightens, multiply, darkens. So when we are in screen, we will take away the dark areas. So from the underlying layer, take the slider from the left to the right. But it's very harsh, right? Do the same. Hold the Alt or Option, click on it to break it apart, and go just like this. Now, you can just zoom out if you want to have a better look. Now, this is a personal preference. I'm going to keep it at that. To me, it looks fine. That looks to be amazing. Hit OK. All right. Now, once you have done that, it's time for us to add those little textures, right? To create the small textures, we will use a displacement maps. And to make them, all you need to do is select the background or the fabric layer, right? Select this grid over there, and then click on duplicate layer. And from the document drop-down menu, we're going to choose new. We will use a new document of just the fabric. And then let's name it fab for fabric. Short forms are cool. All right. Now, once you have that, we need to desaturate it. We need to take away the color. We just need to give Photoshop the information of the texture. That's it. All right. And for that, we need to go to Image, Adjustments, and then Desaturate. Now, you can also do this. This is optional. If you do not want very fine textures, you can just blur it out. So we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. In this specific case, we don't want that, but I'm going to show you just for example. So for example, you didn't want these small textures, you would add a little Gaussian Blur to take them away. But for this, I want all of it. So I'm just going to increase it a tiny bit, maybe a little bit. Sometimes what happens is there is noise. So you want to blur it. You don't want to give the noise bump to them. All right. Then once this is done, you can save it as a PSD. No JPEG, no PNG, PSD. All right, so go to File, Save As, and then you can save in Desktop. So I'm going to choose Desktop, and I'm going to name it as Fab. It was named Fab, and let's save it. Hit OK. All right, let's get back to our document, and then select any one of them. So select the top one, and I'm going to add that displacement map. And to add them, you can go to Filter, Distort, Displace. Now, this is kind of trial and error. For the first one, I'm going to dial in 10 on the top, 10 on the bottom, hit OK. And then from the desktop, you're going to choose Fab, Open. As you can see, it has added some texture to it. If we zoom in and have a look. Yes, it has added some nice texture to it. See, have a look over here. Now we need it copied to the bottom one as well. So hold the Alt or Option, click on the displace, click and drag, and drop it to the bottom. As you can see, it's done. Looks perfect. Amazing. Now, if you want, now this is also optional. You can make a group of both of them. Select the first one, hold the Control or Command, select the second one, press Control or Command G. This makes a group. If you want, you can decrease the opacity. But in this case, I'm going to keep it at around 95-ish. That would be fine for me. Now, to add some additional effects, this is also optional to make it more realistic. We can do some dodging and burning over here. So let's go ahead and create a curves adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves. Now, we need to take it down. Click on the middle, take it down, just like so. Select the mask and then press Ctrl or Command I to invert it. Then simply take the brush, make sure the foreground color is white, press X to toggle between the foreground and the background. And let's decrease the flow to somewhere around 5 to 10%. I'm going to choose, let's say 5%. And then just simply paint with a soft brush on dark areas. See how nicely we're adding some dimension to it. Maybe a little bit over here. Maybe I'll just go ahead and decrease this to flow to 3%. See the darkness? You can always press D to reset the swatches. So for example, you accidentally sampled some other color. You can press D to reset it. You can press X to toggle it. Now we have darkened a lot of stuff. Let's brighten them. So have a look at the before and after, by the way. So this is the before, this is the after. Looks so much more better, realistic and nice. So let's go ahead and create one more curves adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose curves. This time we want to take it up. Just like so. And then do the same, select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I, take the brush, foreground color white, and just paint on the bright areas. but you would add some shine. Maybe a little bit over there. This is fine. Let's zoom out and have a look. So here's the before, here's the after. It also adds some dimension to it. There you go, just like so. If you want, you can also add some light effects to it. And to do that, we need to create a stamp visible layer. Press Ctrl Alt Shift E, Command Option Shift E on a Mac. This creates a merged layer on top. Everything you see on the canvas right now, merged and kept on the top. Now, before applying any filter, we need to convert this into a smart object. So go to Filter and then Convert for Smart Filters. Hit OK. That's another way of converting it into a smart object. Now, once it's converted, you can say by the logo over there. You can go to Filter, Render, Lighting Effects. And you can create a very interesting lighting effect. Let's zoom out. We can just shorten it. Let's bring it over here. Let's address the size. Let's keep it this size. This is the intensity, how much intense you want the light to be. So I'm going to keep it this intense. This is fine. And hotspot controls. Everything else is fine. You can just play with it, see what looks great for your image. Ambient lighting. Okay, so this all looks fine. Now, once you're happy with it, you can just hit OK. And you're good to go. Let's have a look at it. So here's the before. Here's the after. It gives it a very nice, interesting look. If you think it's too much, you can always decrease the opacity. I'm just going to decrease it to somewhere around this. All right, that looks amazing. Now, if you want to take away the lights from some places, you can also create a mask. Click on the mask button right over there. And then take the brush and simply paint on some areas. Also, it also comes with a mask. So if you don't want to create one extra mask, let's delete that mask. You can select that mask of the smart filters and then take the brush, make sure the foreground color is black, and then just paint on the areas where you don't want the shine. You can increase the flow to 100. Let's decrease it to, let's say, 38-ish. No, let's go a little lower. Let's go maybe 20-ish. So that's your personal choice. Whatever you want to do, you can. I'm just playing with it. All right. So before the mask, after the mask. More dynamic, more nice. So there you go. Have a look at the before and after. So here's the before without it. Here's the after. Looks great, doesn't it? Let's change the background to white so that you can see it better. There you go. Also, you can just brighten some areas. As you can see, this area has gotten a little darker. So we can create a curves adjustment layer on the top. This is all secondary stuff. Maybe let's make one here. Select the mask, press Ctrl or Command I. Then take the brush, make sure the foreground color is white. With a big soft brush, just dab on it. Make it big and dab on this area. Just paint on this area a little bit. There you go. There we have it. Looking great, looking amazing. And we have our image ready. That's how to do it. Now, before we wrap this up, I wanted to show you why both of the blend modes, multiply and screen, are important. In this case, just screen was required in most of it, but multiply is also important as well. So if I hide this for a moment, I just wanted to show it to you. If I go back to the group, and if I change the color to, let's say, green, so if I double click on the smart object, we can change the text anything later. So I'm just going to double click on it and change it to, let's say, green. So let's select a darker green, something like this. Hit OK. And double click on the T of the your. Single click here. I'm going to take this green here as well. Hit OK. And press Ctrl or Command S. Now when you get back to this document, it will update automatically. So it's updating, as you can see, updating smart objects. It will again calculate all those things that we did to the smart objects. And if we get back, have a look. It's looking awful. So we need to rework it. Let's work on the multiply. Double click on the right hand side. As you can see, it's very important to open up the layer styles dialog box. And then let's set it back to normal. We need to do a little bit more. We need to take away the highlights a lot. So if we take it this way, this is fine. Hold the Alt or Option, click on it. Just like so. Okay. Now hit OK again. Let's turn this one on and double click on the right hand side. This brings the layer styles dialog box. And inside of that, we will do just the opposite. So I'll just take this away just like so. And we'll take this a little. Hold the Alt or Option, click on it. and just like so. Have a look at it. Now this is important. If the background red is influencing a lot of greens, have a look. A red has come through the green. We don't like it. So to solve this, all we have to do, we need to make a selection of this, hold the Control or Command, click on it to make a selection around it. Now select the background layer, create a hue saturation adjustment layer. Click on the adjustment layer icon and then choose hue saturation. A hue saturation adjustment layer. With that, the active selection as a mask will be created. Then all you need to do, you need to either change it to green. You can change it to green, or you can just decrease the saturation so that area won't be affected. So as you can see, we need to rework it right now. So, and the saturation has been changed to 0. So it's black and white. So if I just turn this one on and this one on, as you can see, that area is black and white. Now, once you turn this one on, have a look, it looks strange. So we need to rework it. Turn this one off, double click on the right hand side of this one for the multiply, and then let's just work it out. The screen is looking fine. Hold the Alt or Option. Take away the highlights, this time just a little bit, tad bit, just like that. Hit OK. Double click on the right hand side of this one as well. Turn this on. And we need to take this away even more, just like so. Hold the Alt or Option, click on it. See? So for different colors, we have to work it differently. Now, of course, the red and the green are too much on the eyes, too much for the eyes, but you get the idea of where we are going with this. So that's pretty much it for this video. All we need to keep in mind, just a quick little recap. First of all, add the graphic, the text or the logo, whatever there is. Then using Liquify, we need to mold it well. Then we use multiply and screen blend modes, make 2 copies of it, one multiply, one screen, and then blend if to kind of match it with that of the surface. Now, once you put it on the surface, we need to add those little textures, and we add them using displacement maps. And after that, you can also use some dodging and burning effects to add more dimension to the stuff. You can also use some lighting effects as well. So this is dodging and burning. See how realistic that looks. Now, for the lighting effects, we needed to create a stamp visible layer. So that's kind of destructive, but you can again create it. Doesn't matter, but you get the idea. And after that, you can just brighten and darken some areas if you want to. And that's how to go about it. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe, ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tip, trick or tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.